Welcome to our 1-hour interactive webinar on the ACA Hilti Exoskeleton Demo Project. I'm Ken Gibson, Alberta Construction Association Executive Director. Joining me are Juan Carlos Espinoza and Stephen Little, Trade Managers with Hilti, and Corinne Visser, HS&E Officer with Bird Construction. So why do we do this project? Well, part of ACA's vision, approved by our board of directors, is that we undertake actions to reduce risk and increase market opportunity for member firms. Contractors have always embraced technology to improve performance. We're just into a new era of technology. ACA appreciates funding for this project from the Government of Canada through the National Research Council IRAP program. In this next hour, we'll feature presentations, comments from a participant, Corinne, and a Q&A with our audience. In terms of our project description, exoskeletons are anticipated to reduce fatigue, wear and tear and injury, and extend the productive working life for trades professionals. The goals of the project were to provide hands-on experience with exoskeleton technology, identify potential barriers to adoption, and assess implications for companies' future investment in exoskeletons. As I mentioned, ACA partnered with Hilti Canada to demo Hilti's EXO01 exoskeleton. And now I'd like to welcome Juan Carlos and Stephen to give us some background and explain the EXO01. Over to you, Juan Carlos.
Thank you so much, Ken. So, well, it's been a real pleasure to partner with Ken and the Alberta Construction Association team in this project. We at Hilti, as a manufacturer and seller of the EXO, with this project we learn a lot of good insight to help us see some perspective of how we can drive adoption of new technologies in our construction industry. We have several team members from the field, the Hilti team, who were part of the project. Well, today, one of the team members that was joining me, it's Stephen Little, who is my colleague responsible for leading the introduction of the EXO in our Canadian market. Before we start, as you probably have seen some of our red trucks, red shirts in projects and roads across the country. I would like to just give you some brief overview of what Hilti is, in addition to what you know already. So we were founded by two Hilti brothers in 1941 in Schaan, Liechtenstein, where our global headquarters is still today. We have been in business for 80 years, and we're also the world market leader when it comes to fastening and demolition technology for construction professionals. We have global sales of more than 8 billion Canadian dollars, with more than 29,000 employees working in more than 120 countries. We're proud of having a direct sales model, which basically means that we're not only designing and producing products, services, software, but we also sell them to the market through multiple Hilti sales channels. Another important fact that I wanted to share is that we're working for a 100 family-owned company. All the shares are held by the family, the Martin Hilti Family Trust, which for us ensures our long-term sustainability as an organization. For those who have done any research about Hilti, you might probably know that we have a strong corporate culture that the founder, Martin Hilti, started many years ago and is carried on generation after generation by his son and daughter. As a final fact, we're very proud to share as well that Hilti ranked as the 22nd great place to work globally and the 26th in Canada. So I hope now you know a bit more of what Hilti is. So let's dive into the topic that we're here today. So it's not a secret that more than ever contractors are looking for technologies to help protect the workers and drive their productivity. Human augmentation is one of the solutions available that relates directly to the worker. With this technology, we're looking at ways to see how we augment workers to make them more productive, to perform their job safer and faster, how we augment to mitigate risk and increase safety on the job site, how we decrease musculoskeletal disorders or injuries on a job site due to fatigue or repetitive strenuous work. How we help employers to optimize productivity is another key factor when it comes to their workforce while keeping them safe and ensure they are able to perform the daily applications consistently. So why at Hilti, we do believe that the industry is turning into a need for human augmentation solution. For us, the answer is clear. Construction work is demanding. It's hard work, right? Many applications performed in construction are very demanding and very intense that expose workers to potential problems in the future. Construction workers consistently perform painful, repetitive work. They're constantly engaged with heavy loads, which could be lifting weights, like heavy material, using a heavy tool or operating a heavy tool. Sometimes many workers are exposed to static positions that could lead to injuries like in their neck, shoulder, back, knee. So clearly all that has an impact in the overall productivity of a job site. But most importantly, in the human body and overall in the labor work-life balance. So here's where we strongly believe at Hilti that human augmentation systems have a nice fit to tackle some of those issues. We could also couple what I shared in the previous slide with three industry trends that drive the need and adoption of human augmentation in construction. The first one is job site productivity. Today, we're frequently in situations that are required to do the job quicker, effectively, and a lot of time with less resources. In the chart that you see here on the left, we can notice that over the last couple of decades, manufacturing has almost doubled by a factor of 1.7 the productivity of construction on a per worker basis. And we know that these improvements in manufacturing has to do a lot with automated assemblies, robotics, and things of that nature. The second trend is health and safety. which is an industry driver for a long time, but probably has become one of the most critical topics for any contractor these days. The most valuable resources for us in construction, it's our people. And we definitely want to make sure that they are able to perform the job safely. In 2021, we identified that 47.5% of workers who reported pain took more than 15 days sick leave in the last 12 months. Clearly, if we just couple those two trends with one of the most sensitive these days, which is labor shortage, the Chamber of Commerce in North America shared that in 2021, 88% of contractors reported moderate and high level of difficulty in finding skilled workers, basically attracting talent. Therefore, it's important to enable aging workers to maintain productivity and make construction more attractive for new people in the trade. And once we're able to bring them to the trade, we need to prolong their longevity for issues that could be exposed related to injuries. Now, because of these three trends, we believe it's the right time to consider human augmentation as a solution that is heavily related to the interaction of workers in job sites. So we're very thrilled at Hilti to have found the right partners. And the right partner is Autobot. It's a company that shared a lot of the same values that we have, with over 100 years in biomechanics know-how and 80 years for us when it comes to construction. So we basically didn't want to jump in blindly about a human augmentation technology without partnering with the right people to help us in that journey. So the time is right for Hilti to enter in that space and see how we can drive the adoption of this technology together with Autobot. Essentially, what we define as a human augmentation, as you can see in the slide, is an attempt to temporarily or permanently overcome the current limitation of the human body through natural or artificial means. So there are multiple devices that are available out there to help us in that matters. We have, when it comes to health and safety devices and support, examples as knee pads, back pads, knee braces, non-power exo, which is the topic that we're going to be addressing today, which basically uses a mechanical cable pulling technology that provides support power to the user. The tension is basically transferred down to the ground via hip belt, so it's not an electric or battery powered device. So probably when you think about the exo, you might expect any sort of like Iron Man suits that give you that extra strength to lift heavy objects. No, it's essentially a solution to help the support of the overhead work when a worker is exposed to that type of application. There are also powered skeletons, which you might probably see in the market in the military, defense, or healthcare. And last but not least, we talk about automation and robotics. That is another topic that Hilti is also offering solutions, such as the J-Bot or Cut Assist for coring drilling, but it's a topic for another day. So what is the EXO one and why we think is the right product and the right time for us to bring it to the industry? The EXO is designed to reduce fatigue. Through extensive studies that we have done and testing, we found that the EXO could reduce shoulder load up to 47%. So we're really trying to augment or limit the amount of impact is taken on a worker's shoulder when working on an overhead environment. The EXO also provides a perfect support and power. It was very important for us to design a solution that allows you to adjust the level of support powered based on the application being performed. So if you are lifting heavy objects and you can dial up more support power, then you can see and trying to clarify again that the EXO will give you that extra support, but it's going to give you more strength. Easy to wear is definitely a very important aspect of the EXO. It is designed to be worn like a backpack, So basically, if you can wear a backpack, you can wear an exoskeleton. And it's not so complicated to use. It has to be very easy to adjust. And actually, we make sure that we were able to cover 95% of the global population size based on height and width. Last but not least, construction is a very dynamic environment where workers perform multiple applications and tasks. So it was important for us to introduce solutions that gives you a full freedom of movement when you are in a project. So in summary, our EXO is quite easy to use and adjust to meet real job site conditions in overhead applications. Now on this slide, without going into numbers too deeply, I wanted to share that some results from a university study of a worker performing overhead tasks with and without the EXO. As you can see in the chart on the left with the red and green mark here. So we were able to find that roughly the EXO was able to provide 30% reduction of fatigue when wearing it, when people were wearing it, right? Imagine if, for example, I'm working all day and I can eliminate some of that fatigue at the end of the day, then my output is better, my productivity is better. So we're not asking a worker to do more work, they're just more productive in the work hours they're actually working. Now, after 10 months that we have been out there demoing this product, we are definitely making sure that customers are able to perceive the benefits of using this type of technology. Together with our team from the Alberta Construction Association, we're able to significantly help us to achieve that goal. Finally, I also wanted to share that we did a lot of work with contractors similar to the one who participated in this project to really understand the needs of the construction market and what would it take for us to bring a product that is optimal to meet those needs. So we identified based on that 5 core pillars that are critical to have this type of technology in the industry. Whether it's Hilti or not Hilti, the manufacturer of this type of technology, these are 5 elements that we think are relevant for us to take into consideration. The first one is job site environment is very demanding. So we know that we're not in a clean control environment, right? So we need a product that can stand up to indoor, outdoor conditions, temperature, dust, dirt, or things of that nature. Second is construction is dynamic. So the system must be flexible to be used in multiple areas and move around the job site as needed. Third point is the application. The application is key. If you consider to integrate the EXO into your workflow, you have to look at workers who will spend most of the day doing overhead work. Otherwise, you won't see the benefit of EXO technology at this point with this version. Applications such as ceiling work, overhead drilling, overhead fastening or grinding, sanding, basically any task where your arms are on an overhead environment. Fit and comfort are critical, as anything you wear, you want or you expect to use something that fits you well, otherwise you won't wear it, right? And the last but not least would be the ease of access. So the EXO must be accessible to contractors and workers to then help them to drive the adoption that we expect. So with that, I hope I was able to give you an overview and you were able to learn more about human augmentation and the value that we at Hilti want to bring to the industry with the launch of our first exoskeleton. Well,
thanks very much.
Thank you so much for the time, and I will be just opening the floor for any questions you might have around the content that was just shared in this presentation.
And if I can just point out that the questions are through the chat function. Just ask people to type their questions in there, and then we can respond. While you're doing that, I just also want to point out that In order to capture this YouTube presentation, the link after we're finished, it'd be a lot easier if you first subscribe to the channel. So just a request to do that. And I'm just going to double check and see if we've had some questions come in. We had any questions? No? Okay. Well, let's get right into, thanks to Juan Carlos, and let's get into a little bit more specifically about the demo itself. The demos were held on job sites primarily in Edmonton, and despite the challenges of recruiting contractors and accessing job sites due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we had 12 sites involving 28 contractors that did conduct demos. They were general contractors, electrical, mechanical, sheet metal, sprinkler systems installer, and laser interior systems mechanics that had tried out the EXO-01. And as Juan Carlos indicated, it's primarily for overhead tasks, so those are the folks who were involved. We are going to share some clips from a video that we produced as a legacy to share information about the demo project with you. But first, I just want to thank all of the participating contractors for allowing ACA and Hilti to interrupt your jobs and come onto the sites. And with that, maybe we can queue up the first video and just hear from Jessica McCoggy of Bird Construction.
The demos themselves were great, and the reason why they were great is because they had a physical, tangible experience with the device. We've talked about it in the past, and it sounds, like I told you before, a little too good to be true. But then when we were able to see the device, have the Hilti reps come out, show us how they're utilized, seeing that they were here to provide us a solution to a potentially unidentified or unresolved issue that we're having within the industry.
So what did we actually learn from the demos? We also did we did before and after surveys of the participating firms to kind of gather, as well as the on-site interviews that you'll see coming up in the video clip. One of the things we did learn is, of course, initial awareness of exoskeleton technology is still comparatively low. But contractors were definitely interested in assessing user comfort, reduced wear and tear, and impact on productivity. Survey respondents told ACA that they found the demos very helpful in clarifying these potential benefits, as well as improved worker morale. So why don't we actually hear from some of the testimonials out in the field from the demo? We'll queue up the second clip, please.
What was the blue-collar feedback on Hilti's shiny new innovation?
Straightforward. It's basically the same as a harness. It's not too confusing at all.
For electrician work, a lot of the splicing is just for a long time, just up here, so it would work perfectly for that.
Over the course of the day, I think the exoskeleton would definitely make a difference.
You could definitely see it being pretty much a staple on job sites in like 5-10 years from now. Definitely help with a lot of the back and everything too.
Once you get to this point here, all the weight is distributed back to your hip. So basically it has a pretty limb, so it feels more relaxed.
Were you almost surprised by how much it helped?
Actually, yeah. I like it. I'm impressed. So, you want to try it?
Sure, we'll try it.
Yeah.
Contractors did indicate that the training requirements associated with the EXO technology were not a concern. However, and this is on ACA in terms of how we designed the demos. Demos were really too short and too limited to a single trades professional for a full assessment of the impact on productivity. Frankly, the primary barrier that we learned out of making assessments of the benefit of the technology is just the lack of time on site. But we did certainly hear from several contractors that they did agree that the benefits would be greatest for repetitive overhead work. And I think we will queue up the third clip just on that point.
Like somebody's literally holding your arms up for you. So inserts in. Once I get up to here, that's when I felt it, and that's basically all I'm going to be doing in my trade is hammer drilling when I'm up my hands up there. When you're not working above your head, I mean, you're just putting something else on you, right? So the best way to do it is plan out a whole day of overhead work, then get the exoskeleton and let it do the work for you, and then you're done with that. Take it off and do whatever you need to do without it. For task specific, painter or a drywaller or mudder that's working above his head all day, you're going to notice a difference at the end of the day, 100%.
Hanging racks would be useful, and you're tapping and strut, anything like that. Anything that's light to medium weight.
And we are back, and we do have a question that I can put to my colleagues from Hilti. The question is, can you wear the EXO as at the same time as wearing fall protection equipment? So maybe we'll turn that over to JC and Stephen for a response.
Hi, yeah. So with the EXO, it's designed to fit over top of a safety harness and allow for access for the fall arrest lanyard, either at the sternum or the back. So it works perfectly in cohesion together with a fall arrest device.
Thanks very much, Stephen. This is a perfect segue into inviting Corinne Visser of Bird Construction. Corinne was involved in the demos for Bird and actually was very diligent at collecting feedback and sending that to us. So I'd invite Corinne to share some of the things that the Bird observed during the demos. Over to you, Corinne.
Good afternoon, everybody. Like Ken had mentioned, we were fortunate enough to demo this product on our job site. We are currently building the Louvre residence just in Edmonton, Alberta here. It falls on the LRT line. It's a multi-story apartment complex with over 350 suites. So a lot of drywall, mechanical, electrical application. So I was able to recruit some electrical trades as well as mechanical. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the drywall. One of the individuals that actually demoed the project was on, or the product was on modified duties, and he felt that this would really aid in even getting him back to work to help. So he really liked that. So even on a WCB level, maybe it could be advantageous as well as just the application on the job site. We're also able to use like male, female. So it was nice to see the comments made there. One comment was made that it feels a little bit more geared towards the male individual. It is a male-dominated industry, but the overall consensus was that it was light. It didn't feel like they were wearing it. They could really see it being advantageous in everything they do, especially like the electrical and splicing, mechanical when they're working in parkades or anything overhead, of course, and then drywall. Again, we weren't able to utilize it in that respect, but I did have drywall contractors very interested in being able to demo it because they weren't available at that time. So.
Well, thanks, Corinne.
But yeah,
can I just
super positive.
Well, thank you. Can I just ask Corinne just a follow-up question? So you mentioned the one skilled trades professional that was on modified duties. In your experience, and I know you're not a disability claims manager for Bird, but just in terms of sort of the repetitive wear and tear and strain type injuries, when people do lose time, what would be a typical claims cost that you might see for that type of injury? Just curious to help industry sort of bench the cost of the EXO up against the cost of a typical claim.
So I'm not sure I could put much of a value on it. I guess it depends. As long as a company is able to offer modified duties, it's not going to affect the company's WCV. But as per productivity, you're putting that person on modified duties. They're not going to be able to perform to the level they would, not being injured, but being able to wear the EXO would give them that ability, of course, at the discretion of like a doctor or professional, the ability to function at essentially the same level as before, because it's giving them that assistance. They're not overstraining. This individual was an electrician. His injuries were from repetitive motion, arms above his like shoulders, just holding that up. So him wearing that, it gave him that ability to perform. I can't say exactly what it would cost to a company, but overall, WCB can get quite costly towards the company if you're having these affected employees. And I can only assume, I guess, for like the electrical and stuff like that, that they are going to start seeing a lot more of these repetitive injuries. It's just we're more conscious of it now. We have that resource like for WCB where we didn't have it in the past, where these people can be compensated for injuries caused at work. So.
Great. Well, thanks, Corinne. We do have another question just as a follow-up. So again, to our colleagues at Hilti, do you know if there's work underway to modify the EXO structure to better fit a female form, given that you've got a global market for the exoskeleton? Do you guys know if there's any work underway on that?
So it's hard to say if we have another version in development. Can't disclose, but I would say that the current EXO is designed to fit both male and female, from a range of 5'2" to 6'4". I know one of the aspects that for female workers that might deal with is there's a chest strap across the front that can, depending on body shape, be restrictive, but it is actually something that doesn't need to be used in use. So obviously, if they do have further questions around fit, they can definitely contact Hilti account manager, and we can walk them through the ways to adjust the EXO unit so that way it fits them comfortably and they can feel confident wearing it every day.
Great, thanks. And we have another question. What type of calibration or daily maintenance is required to set the exoskeleton up? Maybe to you, Stephen?
Yeah, so I would say that it's good for a user to double check if there have been movements of the parts through the daily use, if just to make sure that, again, it's still set up to match their body. Obviously, the value here is that as long as it's set up to match their body, it will have that impact of fatigue and stress reduction on the person. So I would check just daily, quick check to see, okay, the adjustments are where they're supposed to be. There's nothing missing, in the same way that you would inspect any type of tool to make sure it's still in working condition. Beyond that, it is designed and has been tested through years of R&D to be able to withstand the rigors of construction. So it shouldn't be something that needs extensive maintenance. And the other thing I'll add to, because I know we get this question a lot, is if it gets dusty or dirty, it's something that, because of its design, you can easily clean it. You can either run it underwater, you can take some air pressure to it and just like blow all the dust off. You can vacuum it. It's one of those things too. So if it gets really dusty or dirty, you can just wipe it down and it'll be good to go the next day.
Right on. Thanks. A follow-up question on the male versus female, and you may have already addressed this, Stephen. If you have, I apologize, but just a question around, is there a way to set the parameters to assist females that might have different lifting criteria than a male? If they're considerably less mass, is that already part of the calibration process?
So there's two things here. One is on the back side of the EXO, the user is able to adjust both the left and the right arm independently to increase the amount of assistance going to the arm. So there's a different range that they can obviously individually set depending on what each arm requires and depending on what the application is. But I would say, and again, this goes back to what JC shared in the presentation, is this is not a solution that's going to increase the strength of the person wearing it. male or female. It's designed to help support them and reduce the stress and fatigue they feel. So if someone is wearing it and they feel that they're doing an application or something that they don't have the strength to perform, the EXO is not going to be something that helps them overcome it. It just helps them reduce the stress and fatigue they feel from working on applications overhead throughout the day. So I do want to be careful there in making sure that the EXO can be adjusted to provide more assistance, but it's not something designed to make someone stronger if they're performing a very heavy application.
Right. Thanks very much. We do have another question, but it's I'm going to hold it because it's kind of where to from here, and we are going to cover that in just another couple of minutes. So we'll come back to that question. I wanted to, so first, again, I wanted to thank Corinne for offering a sort of a contractor's perspective and on learnings from the demos. But I wanted to also just ask you, JC and Stephen, what did Hilti learn from working with the Edmonton area contractors and through the ACA demos? Is there anything that you guys sort of took away that you'd like to share with the group?
JC, I hope you don't mind if I go first here. So I'll say this: when we launched the EXO, we had anticipated the trade interest would be strongest in the mechanical, electrical, and interior finishing contractors. But it's been great to see the wider interest in the expanded application use cases that we thought might take a few years to be identified in this first year of launch. So from my side, what I found is that this study and the participation of the ACA, the participation of all of the contractors, it provided confirmation that human augmentation technology for health and safety purposes is wanted and needed in the construction industry, even if the timeline for adoption is not immediate. We spent several years testing this product to ensure the construction world would accept it. And from what I've seen, the users in this study provided both great feedback that proved that they were either ready and willing to adopt, or with some small changes on our side, their side, in time, would revisit the conversation. So that is what my takeaways from this study and what the ACA ran here.
Yeah, I would like to add something to support around those lines. The fact that one thing that I like a lot about the report or the study was that first we were trying to assess the impressions of those who were going to be going through the demo, and then we documented what the feedback was. And one thing that I definitely was an eye-opener I see is the awareness is low, and that's normal. But the willingness to know about the technology is there, which is great. It's a great first step. Now, when it comes to wear the EXO and see what is the results or the impressions that you had after using it, it takes more than just wearing it for a few hours or even a couple of days. If you have somebody who is coming from an injury and then using it, that person might be more open to feel that difference because they're coming from an injury. But for somebody who is just adopting towards something new for the daily applications, it takes a little longer. That's from the user's point of view. Now, what we have learned in terms of the influencers or decision makers when it comes to this type of product is they see the value, they like it, but they're still hesitant to see the immediate benefit in terms of return after wearing the X or having multiple team members wearing it. And it's not as visually or easy to capture the benefit as if you have an automated solution like a robot, right? Like you just simply see the benefit there. It's straightforward. But for this type of technology, it would take a little longer to adopt. But the positive side of it, it's the industry is eager to learn more, to try it. And that's our job as a manufacturer, to educate, to partner with associations like the ACA to really create that awareness, because we know we're part of a very conservative industry in construction, and we need to be a little more agile and move faster and make sure that we're able to tackle those trends that I mentioned earlier in the presentation.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, I'm going to offer a couple of quick comments from my perspective. First of all, so again, kudos to our contractor partners who actually devoted the time and space to allow this to take place. I do understand from our friends at Hilti that there's actually been a few investment decisions made by some of the participants that are actually adopting the technology. And I think that's a sign of a real embrace, speaking to Corinne and the other participants. Our industry really has moved from perhaps a more production-oriented to more of a people-first industry, and making those investments to care for individuals to ensure that skilled trades professionals actually have a long and productive and healthy career. And that's going to be important, frankly, as we move forward collectively as an industry, because there's lots of choice out there in careers, and in order to make sure that construction is a career of choice, these types of decisions are really important. And I think we have one final clip that we're gonna play just to kind of reinforce that point. So maybe we can cue that one up, and we'll do that, and then we'll talk about where do we go from here.
I think the organizational changes that are occurring within the industry are more people focused, where before they were more production and cost focused. But just given our circumstances and seeing a cultural shift, you can see there being more of an industry culture of caring rather than bottom line kind of get her done attitude.
And so we're back, and just want to once again invite questions through the chat. Remind folks that if you subscribe, it'll be easier to get the link to the final YouTube video of this webinar. So we'll look forward to that. But I'd like to turn to where we go from here. I'm gonna first of all ask Corinne, as the contractor, what would you like to see in the future as Bird? What kind of things out of the technology would you like to see, Corinne?
In regards to the EXO,
yeah,
some of the comments that were brought up were that it was a little bit bulky if you had to wear a high-vis vest under it. So a recommendation from a worker would be just to make the EXO itself high-vis. So you're not getting that dual, like just putting even Hilti in high-vis letters, or just having something along that lines that takes that bulk away. In our application in Alberta, I'm not sure if that's where everybody's from here. I'm going from obviously the conditions we have outside currently, and then going into a building, how would that look? So you're going from an extreme cold to a possibly heated situation, or vice versa. Are we going to see problems from that transition? We do see a lot of that on our sites currently. Trying to think of some of the other things. Honestly, those were just a couple of the things. There was great feedback, but those were some of the concerns they thought they might see, just especially with the weather conditions here, is that transitional.
Okay. Thanks, Corinne. I'm going to go to questions in the chat. The first one, is there an exoskeleton that would support or strengthen the legs and lower body? Is that something that Hilti is looking at? Who wants to tackle that? Stephen?
Yeah, I'll go here. So I definitely think it's one of those opportunities that we see, that obviously above head work is problematic for shoulders and for back, and obviously below waist work is obviously tough on the back, and a huge ask in requirement of a lot of applications. So it's something that we will continue to explore, and I guess to give away the next part of what I was going to talk on, but just our goal is to continue to bring health and safety focused solutions to the market. And so it would not surprise if in some amount of time we had something like this or some other way to support workers on site to help reduce any type of injury or risk, or stress fatigue that they experience performing daily activities and applications.
Fantastic. Thanks. Another question here. Of course, we still have to operate profitably as contractors. What's a typical cost for the EXO-01?
Yeah, the cost of the unit is $1,999. That is for customers who decide to purchase it. We also offer the option to fleet it as one of the services that are available to our customers in case they want to have that type of product for a certain period of time.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And going to share a comment that came in through the chat as well. This looks like a great tool to reduce injuries and extend the working career of a maturing workforce. Here, I agree with that. I'd like to offer a few comments from ACA's perspective as well about where we might go from here. I got to tell members that Alberta Construction Association and our volunteers who guide us, how impressed we've been with Hilti as partners. The whole philosophy that Juan Carlos and Stephen and others have brought from Hilti to us is that they really believe in bringing forward things that help all of the industry, raise all the boats. And at one point when we were doing the planning, I said, well, maybe we should focus in on where you guys think you're going to have the most impact on sales. And to the credit of Hilti, they said, no, that's not the point. We want to get it out there. We want people to have a chance to try it, and we all want to learn from that. And I think the other thing that ACA has found really attractive about Hilti, in some of ACA's other work with innovators, one of the frequent complaints that we get from members is that if you're dealing with a startup, they may not have the horsepower themselves to support their technology, especially here in Alberta. It may be no secret that, in fact, ACA started down the exoskeleton journey with an American company several years ago, and they just weren't prepared to make the commitment that Hilti has. And so one of the things, especially for our small to medium-sized members, of which 80% of ACA's members are firms 50 employees or 20 employees or less, you may not have in-house staff to be able to assess these. And the partnership that we've had and the staff coming out from Hilti has just been great. So that's maybe a little bit of a segue into we are planning to consider additional partnerships. We've got a webinar planned for March the 1st, looking at some of the digital enabled technologies that Hilti has to improve performance for contractors. And if you do have some interest in learning more about the JBOD and their digital marking technologies and some of their other digital VDC and BIM related technologies, just drop me a line or put it in the chat that you'd like an invitation to that, and we'll set that up for you. But we are going to keep going on those types of partnerships. And I do want to just, there's been a couple more things that have come in, just want to give the folks an opportunity to respond to. Can you use it outside in the cold with a jacket and a vest on?
Yes, so this is designed and should be able to be adjusted to fit over top of a jacket, as well as with the vest and as a safety harness. And so obviously, again, the recommendation would be to connect with your Hilti account manager, and they can support in the fit up to make sure that on site you receive the support you need.
Great, thanks. And another question here, and I apologize, I may have missed the response earlier, but I'm wondering about its usage while wearing fall protection. I think you just addressed that, Stephen, but we'll ask you to address it again.
Sure. Yes, the design for the EXO allows for it to be worn over top of a safety harness, so it'll allow for that connection for both the sternum as well as the back, depending on which orientation the worker has. So yeah, yes, that is a consideration, and we tested it as well with third-party testing to make sure that in the event of a fall, the EXO would not impede the ability for the harness in the fall rest device to engage.
Great, thank you. Well, we're inviting, we've just got a couple minutes left in the time slot that we had available, so we'll invite one final round of questions in the chat. There will be both the video that you saw the clips from and a video of this YouTube webinar. They will be available through the ACA website after we're wrapping up here today. I do want to just repeat a few thank yous. Alberta Construction Association literally couldn't have performed this project without the funding support and moral support of Peter Boileau at National Research Council Industrial Research Assistance Program. So thanks, Peter. I don't think Peter's able to join us today. He's got some other commitments, but want to thank the NRC for stepping up and really doing this project. Want to thank, obviously, our colleagues at Hilti. They did a fantastic job. And last but not least, as always, we want to thank our fantastic volunteers like Corinne and Jessica and all of the other personnel, that either skilled trades professionals who actually participated in the demos or their employers, for supporting this demo project, and for all of you who had the interest to take the webinar in this afternoon and provide your thoughtful questions and great feedback. Again, you know, this is all about learning and for everybody to improve. How do we make this a better industry so that we have young people come into the industry, stay as skilled trades professionals for a long and rewarding and safe and healthy career. And we're gonna keep on rolling. So again, if you guys out there have some interest, subscribe to our YouTube, drop us a note in the chat about the March 1st webinar, and I'm going to just turn back to my colleagues for any closing comments that they might have. We'll start with Corinne. Again, Corinne, huge thanks to Bird for helping us out here. Any thoughts that you'd like to leave with the audience?
No, just thank you so much, Hilti and ACA, for giving us this opportunity to try it out. I hope some of our subs and Bird itself will make this purchase in the future, and we'll hopefully mitigate at a worker level, like stop it before it starts. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Corinne. Any final thoughts from either Stephen or JC?
Yeah, well, just one last comment from my side. Once again, thank you for partnering with Hilti and making this project possible. And our goal is to really make sure that we create awareness and we help the industry to embrace new technology. And I know it sometimes takes time to get people really not excited, I would say, but most importantly, really embracing that technology. And it's our job to educate them and make sure that every feedback that we actually gather from those who were part of the project, we take that into consideration for new products that we launch and future generation of EXOs. So thank you so much for that feedback.
Fantastic. Any final words there, Stephen?
Just a quick, again, thank you to the ACA for having us the opportunity to present, and again, anyone participating both today and throughout this study. So it's fantastic, and this type of partnership is vital to us, and we're greatly appreciative of the time.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank everybody who has joined us to learn and ask some questions. Again, there will be a link posted on the ACA website so that you can see the entire video of the project. You can see this YouTube presentation. If you do have any questions that come to mind after we wrap up here, don't hesitate. Just drop ACA or myself an email, ken.gibson@albertaconstruction.net, and we'll be happy to respond and follow up with you. So with that, I want to conclude and just wish everybody a safe and productive day and 2022. And stay tuned, because we hopefully will be doing some more exciting things with Hilti and other partners. So with that, everybody.